Another edition of Sign or Decline, your free agent of the day. Landry Locker, the locker room here on YouTube. Cody, Stoots. And this one today, Landry, a familiar face, a divisional face. Josh Allen of the Jacksonville Jaguars, the potential free agent target that we're talking about. Should the Texans be chasing Josh Allen, and what to make of his free agency that is headed his way in just a couple of weeks?
Well, first of all, I don't think they're going to have a chance to. I don't think Jacksonville lets him get away. I would say the Texans will not. If they had the opportunity, should they? Sure, they should kick the tires. Right now, it looks like, though, he's kind of in the range of perhaps, I'm sure he's going to be trying to ask for Brian Burns type of money. He's had a really good season last year. We saw him dominate Laramie Tunsil, whether Tunsil was healthy or not. He's done that. He's one of the Jags' best players. I do wonder how this situation would be looked at had the Jags drafted Aiden Hutchinson. Like, what would the conversation be right now? I think it would be a little bit more interesting. But the fact that they screwed up and they took Walker instead of Hutchinson, who's still a fine player, I don't think they're going to let Josh Allen get away. And from a Texans perspective, I'll be honest, that doesn't necessarily terrify me or anything like that. As good as he was last year in that game, and as good as he's been for the Jags, because if they're going to keep their core together, and it looks like they're probably going to sign him, and they're probably going to figure something out with Ridley. I mean, it just really hasn't been enough. It's really going to come down to the quarterback. But Josh Allen, sure, if he was on the market, look into it. I don't think he gets on the market. And even if he was on the market, the price might be a little bit too high.
Yes. The spot rack projection for him, 5 years, $119.93 million. So checking in about $23.9 million per year is the projection there. Should he hit free agency and sign that big deal? You talked about the really good season he had in 2023. His previous 3 seasons before 2023 was 17 sacks, and then he rattled off 17 and a half this past year in a contract year for the Jaguars. It very much feels like this guy is headed towards that franchise tag. Prove that you could do it again, and if the cost of doing business goes up, it goes up. So the case for Josh Allen, we just talked about it there a little bit, the pass rushing prowess. This guy was a fantastic pass rusher, though his pass rush win rate, say that 10 times fast, was not as high as some of the other performers at defensive end / edge, but he can clearly get after the quarterback. He's the heart and soul of that Jaguars defense.
What?
The heart and soul.
Oh, I didn't know they had heart there. Okay, my bad. I thought I misheard you.
It's a little tiny heart that sometimes
okay.
doesn't pump enough blood into the into it. But he's the best player on their defense, and without him, I don't know what they do on defense.
Nothing.
Sure.
They're screwed. They can't. They have to. You have to. You know how sometimes, if you make a mistake and you try to overcompensate for it, that and I'm not saying that they wouldn't be trying to keep Josh Allen no matter what, but when you make the monumental screw up of not taking Aiden Hutchinson when he's sitting right there for you, and you take Travon Walker, who's an all right enough player, you're going to overcompensate and you're going to do what you can to keep that guy. And that's what they're going to do. So whether it's franchise tag, whether it's a long-term deal, they can't let Josh Allen get away. It just cannot happen.
As far as the Texans go, obviously if he gets tagged, 0 interest, they're not making a deal with you. Even if he hits free agency, the argument for Allen probably works better for a lot of other teams. I think the case against Josh Allen for me is pretty simple. He's a pass rush specialist in that he does not handle the run as well as you would expect a guy that's going to get paid over $20 million a year. And just simply what Jonathan Grenard would get paid and what Josh Allen would get paid, I'd rather have Grenard, even if the pass rush is a little bit lower. Grenard actually had a better pass rush win rate than Allen this past year. But Grenard can also affect the rushing attack of the opposing team. And Allen doesn't do that very well. Maybe he'd do it better on the Houston Texans, but I would want somebody who's a bit more of a complete player if I was going to go and pay him over $20 million a year. Unfortunately for the Jaguars, they don't have a choice. They're going to have to tag him or pay him, and they're going to be a bunch of big money wrapped up in him. So I don't love him as a complete player. I certainly understand if you didn't have a pass rusher at all, he's a much more attractive guy. But the Texans have Will Anderson, and then they have options that are less expensive, and then they have options that are more expensive that are more complete players than Josh Allen.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like right now, I'm really intrigued to see what the Texans are going to do on the edge, like from Grenard all the way to these other guys. This would be really expensive. My dream scenario, and I know that's not what we did the video for, but my dream scenario for the Texans to put opposite of Will Anderson would be either Joey Bosa or Khalil Mack, whichever one the Chargers decide to part ways with. And I don't know which one it's going to be, but both of them are scheduled to make I think $50 million. The Chargers got some interesting situations. They got Mike Williams. They got Keenan Allen. They got to figure out what the hell they're going to do. They also have top 5 pick in the draft. So, if they're getting rid of some of these marquee players, maybe they try to replace them. So for me, paying Josh Allen, the max value that a player of his caliber, and I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but a player of his caliber will get on that second contract. I would rather, whether it's a 33-year-old Khalil Mack, years after the Clowney situation, I think he's coming off a career high in sacks, which is pretty crazy. He's coming off a really good year, or Joey Bosa, who really hasn't been able to stay healthy and live up to his contract. That's my dream scenario. That's what I'm looking at. And I know Nick Bosa has said that D'Amico Ryans is the best player that he's ever played for, and the Bosa brothers are tight, so I'm sure he would hear good things. So that would be, for me, let's get a Joey Bosa revival opposite of Will Anderson, and then let's get the Khalil Mack if Khalil Mack's available. That's my dream right now for that.
I mean, really, what you're laying out is there's so many different avenues that could be close to as effective or as effective and not cost nearly as much as Josh Allen, not make that type of commitment. And the guys that you talked about, also not a long-term commitment either. You got to think about this too. When you're going and chasing big-time free agents, most of the time the commitment is beyond that 2-year margin. I mean, I know Nick Caserio has been really good with those 2-year deals and the shorter deals. When you go to the tippy top of the market, it's a multi-year commitment, and that commitment oftentimes affects players down the road who get paid. Obviously, the Texans down the road, Derek Stingley will be up first with the big contract. Then it'll be Will Anderson, C.J. Stroud, and on and on and on after that. So, that commitment, I think we've got to the verdict here, and I think you kind of got the verdict on Josh Allen as the video got started. It's a big thumbs down for both of us, and they're not even really probably going to get a shot at this guy. The franchise tag is what the Jaguars should do with him. But if they want to go ahead and make that commitment, try to make up for the fact that they don't have Aiden Hutchinson, which every time I watch Aiden Hutchinson play,
I thank God.
I thank God and Trent Baalke that he's not a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
God, just crazy. I mean, I don't think we're sitting here talking about the Texans being the division champs. I think I'm not making jokes about the Jags not having heart. The development of Trevor Lawrence, who knows, it might be the same place, but you don't feel as bad about it because you would have Josh Allen and Aiden Hutchinson coming off the corner. Who knows what that looks like? Of all the moves, when it comes to number 1 and number 2 pick, there's 2 that are very significant. And one is obviously C.J. Stroud falling to the Texans at 2, at least 1 year in. And the other one is them passing on Aiden Hutchinson for Trevon Walker. It's a hell of a break, and we'll see if they overcompensate with it with Josh Allen. But I'm with you too. Verdict down. Kick the tires on a Bosa or Khalil Mack or something like that. Bosa, I think he's played 14 games the last 2 years. Who cares? Just see what they can do and come into this situation, and then just see how it goes from there.
Even if you wanted to draft somebody at 23 and stick him opposite Will Anderson and repurpose the money elsewhere, I'm in more favor of that too. So pretty easy to say no thanks on Josh Allen. And ironically, if it was quarterback Josh Allen, I think we'd also be saying no thanks because C.J. Stroud's pretty darn good at what he does. So, but that Josh Allen's never hitting free agency ever again. So that's that. That's sign or decline, double decline. Yet again, we got to get some of these signs in here. We're on a decline streak here.
Oh, I mean,
We're not going to force it.
It happens.
You're not going to force it. Maybe we get into some linebackers or some running backs, get a couple of signs in here. But a decline on Josh Allen. We do this each and every day here on YouTube. Sign or decline free agent of the day. You catch it on Landry's channel, The Locker Room here on YouTube. You catch it on my channel, Cody Stoots, as well. You get it every single day, and another one's coming your way tomorrow.